Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Youth Entrepreneurship Speaker Series hosted by Dignity of Children. My name is Sabrina Gonzalez, and I'm the Ideas Program Director, and we are so happy to see you all here this evening and really want to thank you for joining us. At Dignity of Children, we build partnerships with youth organizations and schools to teach youth the mindset of an entrepreneur. Our signature program, Ideas Empowered by Youth, is designed to prepare youth for the 21st century marketplace by teaching them how to be innovators and think like entrepreneurs. Today, we are welcoming you to our speaker series event on the power of entrepreneurship, presented to you today by David Johnson, Head of Supplier Management Office at Zoetis. This session will help you learn skills on how to apply the mindset of an entrepreneur when working within a company or organizations. It can be incredibly rewarding to work for a company that shares your values and allows you to express your creativity. And in this session, you will also learn how to apply your entrepreneurial skills when working for other people and how to act like an entrepreneur when being employed by others to create something exciting and meaningful. During this time, we really encourage you to take notes and ask questions in the chat or by requesting to unmute yourself. At the end of the session, you will be able to interact with David through a Q&A. And of course, if you have any technical issues, please let us know in the chat. At the end of this talk, we ask that you fill out a quick survey to provide your feedback and help us improve this event for the future. Now, let's take a couple minutes to say hi in the chat, introduce yourself, and let's see. Let's add one thing you did today to bring you closer to your dream goal. Let's put that in the chat, or you can feel free to unmute yourself. Put one thing you did today to bring yourself closer to your goals. Wonderful. So we have the first one. David says, I'm talking and learning with excellent people. Wonderful. We have one person who says, my name is Day Murray, and today I posted up content and made a few TikTok videos. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dai. Purnima says a DEI workshop on trust versus suspicion. Oh, that is wonderful. Liz says, followed up with my prospects. Wonderful. That is great. Planning, says Cheryl. Thank you so much. Oh, wonderful. I'm usually really good with names, so thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for all this participation in the chat. All right, so what I want to do next is I really am thankful for everyone being here today. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to David Johnson.
Hi, everyone. That was a wonderful introduction, and it's good to see you guys active in the chat. I would have loved for us to be a little bit more interactive so I could see your faces when I tell you some of the crazy stories I'm going to tell you now. But I'm going to ask a lot of you guys to just jump in the chat. And if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have something that you want to say, please be active. You know, it makes it better for me as a speaker if I've got some feedback, right? I just don't want to talk just to hear myself talk. Although some of you people know me, you may you know that I like to talk. So without further ado, let's talk about the power of intrapreneurship. So the power of entrepreneurship in my long and illustrious career, it's been a while that I've been doing what I've been doing, trust me. And I've been an entrepreneur. I've been a regular old employee. I've been a boss. I've managed teams. I've managed divisions. And there's a lot of commonality between the things that you're asked to do as a leader and as an entrepreneur. And that's what we're going to discuss today. But before we start that, I wanted to tell you guys how lucky you are compared to the education system that I have, the opportunity that you guys have working with this Dignity of Children. So that's the building that I grew up in the Mariners Harbor Projects, 110 Brave Ann Street. And I'm showing you this picture because it will help me demonstrate a discussion that we're going to have. When you grow up in the inner city, there's an inequity in teaching, in the schoolwork that you get. You're taught to be aggressively mediocre. I was never taught that I could be an entrepreneur. I was never taught that I could run my own company and be a billionaire. I was taught to pass a test and get a job. I was a smart kid. When I was in, I don't know, 3rd grade, I would get on my teacher's nerves because I got bored and I would get up and walk around. Matter of fact, I'll show you a little picture of bored me. When I was in 3rd grade, I would get sent to the principal's office a lot because, like I said, I was a problem. And one particular day, I was getting sent to the principal's office, and my favorite teacher, my science teacher, Mr. Eisenberg, caught me in the hallway. And I was feeling really down about myself because I felt like, why can't I get this right? Why am I so stupid? Like, I have to get it together. And I told him how I felt. And he said probably the most profound thing anyone has ever said to me, and I'll never forget it. He said, you doubting your potential is like the sun doubting its ability to burn everything it touches. I'm going to say that again. You doubting your potential is like the sun doubting its ability to burn everything it touches. I don't know where that quote comes from, but it's been in my head for a very, very long time. This quote to me is about not being afraid to fail. It's about not doubting yourself. It's about all the things that make you a great entrepreneur and a great entrepreneur. Just really quickly in the chat, does this give you guys any, like, how does this quote make you feel?
This is an incredibly powerful quote, David. Let's go ahead and take it to the chat, or if you would like to unmute yourself, feel free to let us know. That's a lot to unpack. How do we feel about this? I see Anna says empowered. Yes, absolutely. We have Javon who says inspired.
Excellent. I love it.
Anything is possible from Cheryl. You know, I'm reading through some of these and I am feeling it. We have, so means that we all have potentials. Absolutely, absolutely, Liz. Thank you so much for that. We definitely do. We have more potential than we think, right? So we have one person who says, it's true, the sun doesn't stop burning because someone doubts it, and people's worth doesn't decrease because you and others can't see it. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Di.
Excellent comments. Excellent comments. I love it. So to go further in my education experience, I'm going to just jump back in right now. Thank you so much for letting me know that resonated with you and I wasn't crazy. To jump back into it, we got to talk about what high school was like for me. I went to a school that was predominantly Black because it had what was termed, and you can see me doing the air quotes here, a computer science program. I don't know, that's my Alexa in the background. I'm a huge tech geek, so I'm going to try to not say those words that make the thing talk as much as possible. But I wanted to be a computer tech. Like, there was so much passion for me to learn about technology. And I went to a school that had a program that was teaching you computer science, but the school only had 2 computers. Like I said at the beginning, the school was meant for you to pass a test and get a job. So I read a study that was about school in the 90s and the vocational training that they gave you. Can you guys see that? These are the top 7 programs offered in the inner city schools. Agriculture, I guess I could learn to farm in the middle of the city. Business and office, okay. Marketing and distribution, that's important. Health, we need nurses. Occupational home economics, there's that janitor that I was talking about. Trade and industry, that was the biggest one at my school. You could learn to be a mechanic, you could learn to be a plumber, you could learn to be an electrician, you could learn to be, you know, anything in anything you can do with your hands. And then the last one was technical and communications. Like I said, my school had 2 computers. It didn't leave me a lot of opportunity to practice the craft that I wanted, and it never gave me any education on being an entrepreneur. So I'm going to ask you again to put some stuff in the chat, right? What are some of the things that your school offers that kind of fits into this mold? Pass a test and get a job.
So let's go ahead and hear from our audience. What are some things that your school offers?
I hear crickets.
So we have Liz in the chat who says, even at my high school, when I was growing up in the 80s, which was a good school, never talked about entrepreneurship. That's very interesting, right? How some of these schools don't set us up for the future. Thank you so much for that, Liz. So we have one person, I believe it's Di, who says, to be honest, they don't teach anything outside of the basics. Right. We find that a lot of schools are not really teaching maybe some things that we're, interested in, and maybe some things that we actually imperatively do need.
Yeah.
Liz also says, had to learn it on my own. And as a photography major in college, they never tell you how to have an art business. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Great point, Liz. Javon says, all I learned about and trained for was how to pass the regents. Yeah,
Exactly.
no life outside of regents, no life outside of school, right? Very interesting. Thank you so much for that, Javon.
You got to pass that test.
Yeah.
That test is not your life. That test is not that's not going to be your passion. That's not going to be the thing that wakes you up every morning, that makes you happy to go to work, right? If there are some things that you take away from this talk, the first is going to be not to doubt yourself, because you're the sun, right? Be bold. Failure is a learning experience. I was a consultant and my own boss for 5 years, and then I had what I claim as a failure, but it taught me a lot and it made me better at my job. today. Continuous learning, supplement your education. You're doing that now by being a part of the Dignity of Children Entrepreneurial Ideas experience, but always, always learn. You're never, ever going to want to stop learning because it will always make you a better entrepreneur, intrapreneur, leader, whatever you want to be. Continue to always learn. No matter what you do, if you're an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, your goal needs to be to make an impact and to be a leader. And the final one, think strategically, act tactically. If you are your own boss, you need to have a 30,000-foot view of your environment, but you need to be able to act tactically and take those little steps that'll get you from point A to point B on the ground. So these are kind of the key characteristics of an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur to me. And I'll tell you the story of how I became an entrepreneur. I was working for a company that was relocating my job to Indiana. I don't know if you've ever been to Indiana, but it's not the kind of place that you want to live as a single dude. So I decided I was going to try to find another job. And in a stroke of horrible luck, I was called for jury duty. And in New York State, you got to sit in a room and wait for them to call you to a smaller room before they even call you in front of the lawyers. So I'm sitting in this room and the guy in front of me is talking very loudly about the issue that he has with one of his software suppliers because he just merged two companies with his company. And now a software supplier was saying he was out of compliance and he needed to pay them like $8 million or something like that. So he's very upset. Then he gets called into the smaller room. And in my mind, I said, I just missed an opportunity. That was my opportunity. But I was happy that I probably wasn't going to be called into the smaller room and then be stuck doing jury duty. Well, right before the time of day ends where they're about to send you home, I get called into that smaller room and that door opened up again. So I talked to him for a few minutes. And then after we get done with the trial and we get sent home, I caught him outside and I said, I can help you if you let me. I said, you're gonna give me access to the things that you're being charged, the audit letters and all of that stuff, and I'll negotiate on your behalf. And I'm not gonna charge you anything. But whatever I save, you're gonna give me a piece of. And he said, kid, you have no idea what you're doing. I said, I promise you that I'll save you at least $2 million in this. And you give me 20% of that as my fee. No risk to you. I gave him my phone number. He called me the next day. And that's how I started DGJ Consulting, defending software audits. And I did. I saved them about $4 million. And then, I spent the next 4 or 5 years working 6 months and spending time in the Caribbean for 6 months and taking care of my mom when she got sick. But all of that is because I was determined. I didn't care if I failed. I wasn't afraid to fail, so I knew I could be bold. I was focused. When I put myself in front of a CIO or a CFO, I was ready. There was nothing that would distract me from the results that I wanted to get. I was driven. I wanted to make a name for myself. I was decisive. I made moves. I put together strategies, and they were bold and they were decisive. And they made these people tell their friends who are CIOs, you need to hire this kid. I was independent. The big firms couldn't touch me because I was better than them. And they offered me jobs and money, but I was good. And I was my authentic self. The guy that you're talking to that's looking at you, talking to you right now is the same guy that walked into a CIO's office. I was flexible. I could be where you needed me to be. I could do what you needed me to do, but I promised the results and I delivered them. And finally, I was always learning. I always wanted to learn about your business and who you are and what your company strategies are so I could help you be better. So can you do me a favor one more time? Jump in the chat and tell me. Oh no, why don't we do the Jamboard? Can we do the Jamboard now?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's how we'll do this. After hearing this really empowering story, I want to go ahead and take it to a Jamboard, and I want us to go ahead and fill it with things that we feel are characteristics of an entrepreneur. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to the Jamboard here in the chat. And then everyone just go ahead and open up to the first page and fill it up with things that you feel are characteristics of an entrepreneur. And we're going to go ahead and take 3 minutes on that.
Focus. I love it. Tenacity. Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I see a couple of things here. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys fill that up and we can discuss it in 3 minutes.
Lifelong learner, open to new ideas. That's right. Creative. Yep. Keeps promises and act on them. Transparency. That's a good one. Interested in other people's ideas. Problem solver. Inventive. Optimistic. Ready to help others. That's a good one. A listener. Absolutely. Never scared to fail. Diligent, confident. Yes. Team player. Very true. Honesty. A leader. That's right. Resilient. Oh, I love it. Compassionate. Yes. Self-worth. Knows their strengths and weaknesses. Yes.
These are really, really good, everyone.
Yes. This is fantastic. Never gives up. Wow. I don't think I have to go anymore. You guys got it. I'm gonna go make another cup of coffee.
So with that said,
I love it.
These are really, really wonderful things. And I definitely do think that these are characteristics and strong characteristics that build an entrepreneur. However, David, tell us a little bit about intrapreneur. What is an intrapreneur?
So similar to an entrepreneur is a leader and an impact maker that exists within an organization, right? All of those characteristics that you just saw on the Jamboard that make a good entrepreneur are the same things that make a good intrapreneur. It's just at a different level.
Right.
So, go ahead. Sorry, Sabrina.
So I want us to also, go ahead and take it to the Jamboard as well and go to the second slide and fill it up with things that we feel are characteristics of an intrapreneur.
I think David got a story about that.
Oh, I have a story about everything. Yeah, I mean, so I was living the consultant life. I was loving being my own boss. like I said, I'd work for 6 months and then I'd be in St. Thomas for 2 months or in the mountains in New Mexico. And then 2008 came. Do you guys know what happened in 2008? There was a huge, huge recession, financial crisis, whatever you want to call it. It was terrible. They took all of my money. So I couldn't be the entrepreneur that I wanted to be. There were steps I could have taken in hindsight that would have maybe future-proofed me, but at the time I didn't take them because I didn't know. So I had to get a job, and I got a job with a large organization. And it was frustrating for me because now I'm not driving the ship. I'm just a guy on the boat. And one of my bosses asked me to work on a project. And it was a large project that involved multiple organizations that did the same thing as we did. It was a job for the Department of Defense. And he was trying to find a way to make 3 different institutions share resources when they didn't really like each other. They didn't really want to talk to each other. So he gave this project to me and I took it on, and I took risks because that was how I had to get it done. I used technology in innovative ways to match up these 3 different organizations to make them happy to work together so that they essentially didn't have to spend money on technology. I challenged the business processes that allowed them to do research, that changed the way that they did research. And we rewrote those things specifically for this project. And I took responsibility. When something went wrong and it almost cost us $1 million, I sat in front of the president and I said, I made an executive decision and it went a little wrong. It ended up going really, really right. But when I made that decision, it looked really bad. And they left me out on that island to float, to sink or swim, however it happened. It just so happened I was really good at managing this process. And the company made lots and lots of money. So I drove this project. I drove this progress without any guidance from anybody else. And now, 14 years later, they still use my processes. They still use my technology that I helped to build. And I knew it. I told everybody in 2008, when I do this, it's going to work. It's going to work super well. And you're going to all have to buy me steaks. Thinking about it now, I should have asked for a lot more. But this is what an entrepreneur would have done. It's the same thing that an intrapreneur had to do. Take risks, be innovative, challenge the status quo, and make it happen. That's what an entrepreneur does. That's what an intrapreneur does. Why don't we, I think we have something that we're going to share with you guys. Yes? No? Sabrina?
Yes, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and take it to the Jamboard. And we're going to go ahead and fill it with things that we feel are now characteristics of an intrapreneur. What makes a strong intrapreneur?
Team player. Courage to speak up. Drive. creative. Problem solver. You guys
So
are making my
everyone
point
knows,
for me.
it is the second page on the Jamboard link.
Ability to listen and reason with others. Having an entrepreneur mindset within an organization. Exactly. Willingness to speak up. Not afraid to stir things up. Good organizational skills, thinking outside the box. Ambition. You see how a lot of these things that you're putting, these characteristics for an entrepreneur, are exactly the same as the characteristics of an entrepreneur? The things that you are learning, the things that Dignity of Children are teaching you, these skills, this mindset is going to serve you wherever you go. If you're running your own ship, if you are a cog or like just a sailor on somebody else's ship, you're going to rise to the top because you've got this mindset, you've got this way of thinking that will let you be a leader, be an impact player, have influence, even if you're not the boss. You think like the boss, you make moves like the boss, and you provide impact like the boss because you've got this entrepreneurial mindset.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your participation.
Yeah, man, that was fun. Thank you so much. Let's listen to Q&A. Oh, what's the difference between an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur? I just saw the question from Liz in the Q&A. So, I mean, I feel like I've answered that, but just to reiterate, an entrepreneur is a business owner, a leader, a revolutionary, a visionary. They run their own show. An entrepreneur is a leader, a revolutionary, a visionary in somebody else's organization. It's the only real difference. You know what they both do? They both strategize. They build strategies. They build and design ideas. So I'm gonna try to share. I just did something crazy. Hold on one second. See if I can fix this. Can you guys see strategy, the true potential of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs? I'm going to take that as a yes. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're an intrapreneur, if you're a leader, you're providing impact. I'm going to keep saying those things over and over again. This is the way that you're going to think. These are 5 tips to end on about building great strategy as an intrapreneur or an entrepreneur.
Get into presenter mode, David.
It is in presenter mode.
Oh, so we see your slide. There you go.
All right, hold on. I'll see if I can fix it again. How's that? Better?
Yes.
Perfect. So an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur thinks, I can beat the market. I am better than everybody else, and I can do better than everybody else. And here's why. You got to know that you're better than everybody else. You analyze yourself, you analyze your competitors, and you build a plan for how you're going to win. What did it say at that on that first slide, that quote? You doubting your potential is like the sun doubting its ability to burn everything it touches. That's the first way an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur thinks. We're going to win, and this is why. The second thought that an entrepreneur has is they think critically. Challenge every belief that you have about what's true about your business, about the industry that you exist in. Apple is the richest company in the world. Do they make the best product? Do they make the best software? But they challenged and they made their products accessible to everyone. The iPad wasn't the first tablet. Toshiba made the first tablet. Motorola made one before that. But they made it for everyone. And they challenged the belief in the industry that only tech people would use it. Now everybody's got an iPad and an iPhone. So they took that thought process critically, they flipped it on its head, and they made it available to everyone. Think critically, and that's how you'll be a successful entrepreneur and a successful intrapreneur. Okay, so this is going to be a little crazy when you hear me say it. You got to think tennis or badminton. What's the difference between tennis and badminton? Can you guys just throw that up in the chat really quickly? That's right. The ball is different. It's the only real difference between tennis and badminton. You still got to run around the court. You still got to hit that thing across the net. But let me ask you a question. How much did Serena Williams make last year playing tennis? If you had to guess. $30 million. I think you should go a little higher. Anna, good answer, but no, still a little higher. That's right. Including endorsements, Serena Williams made $200 million last year playing tennis. Does anybody know how much the highest paid badminton player made last year? I know Javon knows. That's not bad, Liz. 500K. He made 500,000 total, including endorsements. There's a big difference. And I give you that example because you have to know where to compete. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to know who your audience is. You have to know who your customers are. If you're an intrapreneur, you have to know who your stakeholders are. You have to know who your competitors are. Do you choose to compete as a tennis player or a badminton player? That's a great way for you to build concrete, what they call differentiation. between yourself and the rest of your industry. As a strategist, you want to think tennis or badminton. And you got to think future back. You got to think about trends and signals and weird things that you never thought of and build a strategy for the future. Think about the way that we shop. Amazon changed everything. Amazon came out and now you can order your groceries from an app on your phone. You used to have to go to ShopRite. Now you can do it all on your app. Changed everything. Think about the future. Think about the little things that change. Think about the way people's behaviors change based on other things. Little story that somebody told me not too long ago that I didn't know. They had to change the walk, don't walk symbols. They changed the timing of them across the United States because people were spending too much time on their phone and it caused a lot of traffic accidents. That's a silly little behavior that changed the entire country. Nobody could have anticipated that, but somebody actually did. And they thought future back. And finally, this is the last thing I'm gonna say for now, because time is short and I want you guys to be able to ask questions. Think about change leadership. Your strategy that you've built using these 5 other thoughts has to be put into practice, right? Think strategically, act tactically. That strategy becomes actions. Those actions become things that your resources need to be allotted to. That it's commitment, it's evolution, it's change, and it's everything that you as a leader need to do. Whether you're an intrapreneur or an entrepreneur, you need to have that long-term view and then be able to pivot when things aren't going right, or pivot when things are going right. So think about being a change. And the last thing I'm going to say is, one more time, you doubting your potential is like the sun doubting its ability to burn everything it touches. Always remember that. Thank you very much, guys. If you have any questions, if you have anything you want to say, we can try to unmute people, I guess. Can we do that?
Yes. Let's get me on David. This is Sonia, and I'm so excited. You're so on point. I want to know if you have some questions for the audience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that some of this is resonating with you, right? But if you're looking at a product that you know and love, okay? Let's say, I don't know, your TV. How could you improve that TV or any product? Put it in the chat. Just if you have any ideas, just throw it in the chat. That would be a great way. It's a great little exercise for us right now. Improving the quality. Nice one, Adriana.
What's a product that annoys you, right? That you would love to have a better improvement. I love it. Okay, I have a few.
Let's hear them, Dr. Toledo. I'd love to hear what you.
I'm trying to remember what was the last thing I was really upset at. It's like.
If it's a smart TV, how fast you can move between the apps. That is quality control. That's
Yes.
Customer experience. That is an entrepreneurial mindset. Good work, Adriana. Anyone else? Why are remote controls still made like it's the 90s on a smart TV?
That's a good one. That's a real good one.
There are a lot of web-enabled and Alexa-enabled TVs now. You don't even have to turn them on with the remote. Some of them don't even come with them anymore. She's talking in the background. You know, so just out of curiosity, you know, I know we're in an entrepreneurship mindset here. We're in an entrepreneurship program. But where do you see yourselves? Do you see yourselves as entrepreneurs, as leaders, or do you see yourself potentially going down the intrapreneurship route later? Which doesn't mean you can't be a leader and you can't eventually take over a company and make it your own.
It'd be great to hear from someone in the audience about what they're thinking.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Okay. Well, right now I'm an entrepreneur, and that's something that I want to keep up and I want to build, because I'm a spiritual advisor. So I want to meet other spiritual advisors and see if we could come together and then like tune into the entrepreneurial aspect, because I think it's really cool if we all work together for, you know, the greater good of everybody. So yeah, it's really cool.
That is awesome. So you know that that's where you want to be in the spiritual advising. You want to make a difference.
I love it.
Is there have you found other spiritual leaders that you want to follow? Do you have some in mind?
As of right now, I follow a few that I admire, and I'm also talking with a few that are building up their own stuff. But I'm looking for people who are doing different things than me, which is kind of hard because and I think this is something I have to work on too. It's like I have a lot going on. So I'm thinking about like cutting down on some of the products and starting to reach out to other people and to see what they have to offer.
Yeah, and remember, it takes time. Like, you know, dib and dab in few things. You'd be surprised. You may find something, your niche, after trying a lot of different things. Really nice.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Anyone else? What are you thinking about? Entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship? You could just speak up, unmute and speak up.
All right. I love that there's a lot of leadership here. Adriana said that she's more of a leader. And I think that was Day who was talking about her as a spiritual leader. I love to see that. I love to see it. I already told you my story of not having this as an option for me when I was a kid. And, you know, the fact that you guys are all following this journey and taking this long walk together, and you've got someone like Dr. Toledo and her team to, you know, hold hands with you and help you get through this journey is amazing. And I wish you all the luck in the world. And I wish I had this when I was, you know, 16 or 17 years old. I might be living a very different life right now.
Yeah. Anna, I want to pick your brain a little more before we go, David. Anna said, I think that that there's value in both. Sometimes it takes being an entrepreneur to gain the knowledge and confidence to become an entrepreneur. I so agree on that. You got to go in there and test the grounds and know how to relate with people, know how to talk to all kinds of people, and know how to make people, not make people, that's not a good term, but know how to have other people be in action for the cause. Yeah. Right. So part of it is not that you know everything, is that you have a team around you and you have people with skills that will help you get to the goals that you want to reach.
100%. Being an entrepreneur prepares you just as much as striking out on your own. You have a different scale when you're dealing with a much larger company. You work for an organization that's got 10,000 employees. You've got more toys to play with, to learn from. It's easier to make mistakes and still be okay. There's more room for you. There's room to grow. There's exposure to people who've been doing it for much, much longer than you, who've done things in different ways. You've got sounding boards that you can talk through things with. And then you strike out on your own and you make it your own. And it's a whole different world. Right.
I always look at it, David, as when I'm in an organization or a company, I want to leave my footprint. So there is something special that I left behind, like your story. You build something and not even today, they're still using that product that you built. So leaving your footprint and wherever you're at as an entrepreneur helps you develop those skills to be an entrepreneur. Now, I want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship because you mentioned something, but I want you to tell us about your challenges in entrepreneurship and your courage to keep it moving forward.
I was challenged often because I was young. At the time I had dreadlocks, really long dreadlocks. So you can just imagine a kid in a suit walking into some CIO's office and saying, you have a problem, I'm going to fix it. And they're looking at a kid with a beard and dreadlocks. And I'm throwing numbers around and promising all kinds of stuff. And I'm asking for a whole lot of money to do it. So the challenges were, I had to be able to sell myself. I had to be able to establish credibility, and I had to deliver, and then it was the challenge of finding that right organization to work with. How did I find my customers? I started out with word of mouth. Oh, you know what? David just helped me out. David Johnson, DGJ Consulting, call him. He can help you with your problem. He just saved me $2 million. That's great. But after a while, that's not enough. So how do I find other customers? And it took me a long time to figure that out. I figured it out in Koki Point Beach in St. Thomas. I figured it out. And I identified one of the agencies that was responsible for initiating software audits. And they were spending a lot of money on lawyers to start these audit processes. And I said, if you're going to spend $50,000 on a lawyer, give me your client that potential audits information, and I can fix it before you have to spend $50,000 on a lawyer. And they started giving me leads. And that's how I started finding my customers.
Nice, nice. So would you say that you failed in any way?
I failed many times. You walk into a room with a group of people, a board of directors, and your confidence is scary to them. They're not aware of the damage that could be done because you're throwing out huge numbers and all they've seen is a letter. And they immediately think you're wrong. And at the same time, it's a letter that they've ignored for 2 years. And you say, I can fix this, but in reality, you can't. As much as you try, you just minimize the damage. And it's a failure. There have been times that I worked for an entire month and didn't get paid because I didn't make the results. But more often than not, I made the results, but plenty of times that I failed.
Yeah, I really like to get into the failure conversation in both entrepreneur and entrepreneur, because failure is actually a growth process, right? So if you look at your failure as an opportunity, it's like, what's missing? Where are the gaps that I didn't have in order to make the goal, right? If I fill those gaps, then the following month you'll make the goal. But it's when we stop that it's a real failure. So stopping is the only thing that's going to make you, fail. If you keep going, all the walls that you run into, all the challenges you have are all ways for us to grow ourselves. And I love what Javon said. A student is a student. A master was once a student. And one day the student will become the master, right? So it's not so much that you are a student or a follower, you are following the people. This is how we were talking to this spiritual leader that we just spoke to. You're following the people that mean something to you, that matter to you, that you value, until automatically you become that master. And we need to know that we have to learn from people who already have done it the way you want to get it done. So this is awesome. It's so great to have you, David. You know that we're partnering with this program and bringing in more entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, and making sure that they have the support in order to bring their business to the next level of implementation, whatever that looks like. And we're doing it long term. We're not just giving you a one-shot deal. So please stay connected with us. And I want you to tell David what are you taking away from today's session? What are those nice nuggets? And put it on chat, or you could talk and share with us. Let's see on chat, what are you taking away from today?
For me, it was hearing, like, this might sound mean, but like hearing that it's okay to fail, because with my business, I have a lot of ups and downs, so I get insecure, like, am I doing something right? And it felt good to know that some days will be good and some days it won't be,
That's right. Failure is a great teacher. It's wonderful to have everything go right and have smooth sailing, but growth comes from failure. Got to break stuff to fix it, make it better.
And I also want to speak. Could you tell us your first name? My spiritual guide, my spiritual leader.
Oh, my name is Day Marie.
Day?
Day Marie, yeah, that's
Day Marie.
Yeah.
Day, I love, that you have embraced that, because because you're moving into the spirituality of for yourself and other people. One of the things that happens is when you come into those challenges, you take note of who you are and realize, who do you need to be? Who do you need to be to overcome these challenges? So your emotional intelligence is extremely important in order for you to overcome any challenge. You need to know who you want to become in order for you to keep it moving forward.
And I also kind of, that's so true. And I also realized, because especially when I first started, and when I wouldn't see, or what I thought would be progress within some of my clients, I used to get insecure. But once again, I have to realize, just like me, they're on their own path and their own journey, and things look different. So not only like learning myself, but also learning my clients too. Some clients I could be like homegirly with, and then some clients I have to be, really professional. So yeah, thank you.
This is awesome. David, do you want to leave us with some nice closing words?
I want to say to everyone that's listening, always learn. It's okay to be ignorant. It's not okay to be ignorant twice. Yeah, I like that one.
I dropped the mic.
To the DOC participants, I've seen you guys do amazing things. I've worked with some of you. Keep up the great work. Keep striving for excellence. You're all excellent. You are far better than I was at 16 years old. You are far ahead of me. Keep striving for greatness. Someday I want to be reading Business Insider and see Isaiah Grant's name. I want to see Day Marie. I want to see all of those names in my Business Insider book and say, man, I should have bought stock in that company a long time ago. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for participating. This was great. Thank you, Dr. Sonia and the Dignity of Children team for having me. And I hope you guys had a little bit of fun and learned something.
Yes, please make sure you fill out the evaluation for us. Let us know how we're doing, the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, because we're always growing and we want to make sure that we're serving you the best possible way with high potential. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, David. And thanks to the team for producing another amazing speaker series. And we look forward to the next time.